Sometimes in life, you get a raw deal, and no one is going to come fix it for you. No one is going to come rescue you. No one is going to come and save us. Sometimes in life, we have to do it ourselves, but that's okay. We can do it. Hey, welcome back. I'm Aaron Miller, the Desperate Historian, here to talk about history and life a little bit. Yeah, sometimes in life we get situations where there is no one who's going to come help us, where no one is going to come save us. We have to take actions for ourselves. This might be a personal setback or a financial setback. It could be a professional problem. Maybe it's a political thing where you have to stand up for what you think is right and you have to take action on your own. No politician, no celebrity, no charity, no superhero is going to come save us. We have to do it. If you're lucky, and I consider myself lucky in this way, you will have people in your life, you'll have people in your corner. Maybe it's your partner, your spouse, your friends, your family, your neighbors. They will help you, but you still have to reach out to them. You have to take some action first. You have to do it. This has happened to me more than a few times in my life, and it seems like it's a lesson that I have to keep relearning for some reason. But no one's going to fix a problem for me. I have to take action. No one is going to stand up for me. I have to do it. And I have to ignore what other people say or do. I've got to do what I think is best and do what I think is right. One of the reasons that I love history, and I suspect that you do too, that's probably the reason you're tuning in, is that it's filled with true stories of people who have persevered, overcome incredible obstacles. So history can be really inspirational and can help motivate me sometimes. So today I'm going to share with you the story of three people from history, from the past, who have saved themselves. No one was going to come rescue them. They were on their own. They took dramatic actions to overcome far worse situations than anything I've ever had to deal with. And they had to do it completely on their own. The first one I want to talk about is Robert Smalls. Maybe you've not heard of Robert Smalls. Smalls was born to an enslaved mother in South Carolina before the Civil War. He worked on the docks in Charleston, and after learning about ships and how they operated, he was hired out by his owners, which was not unusual practice at the time. He was assigned to maneuver ships through the Charleston harbor. He tried to save up money to buy the freedom for himself and his family, but he couldn't possibly save up enough money over time. So he had to devise another plan to secure the freedom for himself and for his family. At the start of the Civil War, he was assigned to steer the CSS Planter, a lightly armed Confederate transport ship that worked around the Charleston harbor. After a routine transport mission on the night of May 12, 1862, he put his plan into action. The CSS Planter's three Confederate officers disembarked to spend the night ashore, which was typical practice. Before the officers left, Smalls got permission for his family and the family of the other crew members who were also enslaved to come aboard the ship for a while, which was also a typical practice of the time. When the families arrived, Smalls told them of his plan. Smalls' wife, Hannah, who did know about the plan beforehand, tried to reassure the other families and crew and said, "It is a risk, dear, but you and I and our little ones must be free. I will go, for where you die, I will die." In the early morning of May 13th, 1862, Smalls and the seven enslaved crew members and their families began their escape. Smalls donned the captain's uniform and borrowed a hat that looked like the same hat that the captain wore. Throughout the voyage, he mimicked the actions and behavior of the captain, keeping the ship's route the same as usual and cruised very slowly around the harbor not to arouse suspicion. Smalls brazenly piloted the ship past the five Confederate harbor forts, giving them the correct steam whistles as they passed each checkpoint. Smalls then sailed past Fort Sumter, which is where the Civil War started, Fort Sumter, at 4:30 a.m. Smalls gave the correct hand signals to Fort Sumter, and the ship passed the fort without incident. But instead of turning towards Morris Island, Smalls headed for the Union Navy, which was blockading Charleston Harbor at the time. He took down the ship's rebel flags and replaced them with a white bedsheet that Hannah had brought with her. The Confederates opened fire, but by this time, the planter was past their range. Smalls surrendered the planter to the Union ship, the USS Onward. According to one account, Smalls stepped forward, took off his hat, and shouted, "Good morning, sir. I have brought you some of the old United States guns." Smalls became a hero in the North, a symbol of the fight for freedom. He not only provided the Union with another ship and its guns, but also guns from Coles Island, more ammunition, and military intelligence about the region. And maybe most importantly, he also provided a copy of the Confederate code book that the captain had left behind. After his daring escape, he learned to read and write, fought for the Union Navy and for the Union Army, seeing in action in some of the war's major battles. He helped convince Lincoln and some of the other Union leaders to let African Americans enlist in the Union forces. After the war, Smalls became a prominent businessman and politician, serving as a congressman from South Carolina in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1884 to 1887. Another example of someone who had to take bold action and rescue themselves was Ernest Shackleton. Ernest Shackleton, you may have heard of before. He was an Antarctic explorer. In November of 1915, during the middle of a voyage where he was trying to sail from one sea to another across Antarctica, across the South Pole, his ship, the Endurance, became trapped in the ice. It was crushed and then sank. There's no help coming. There's no cell phones. There's no satellite phones. There's no one going to come and rescue them. There's no mission to come help them. So they're on their own. While his crew camped on the ice, Shackleton led a team that piloted the Endurance's remaining lifeboats. These are open boats across 720 nautical miles of water. This was freezing cold with treacherous seas and storms. They finally reached South Georgia Island, and once they landed, they still had to cross the cold, barren, mountainous terrain of South Georgia Island. It's almost 32 miles to reach a whaling station on the other side of the island. With help from the Chilean government and British whalers, Shackleton returned to where his crew was stranded and rescued every single member of his crew. Another example of history of someone who rescued themselves is Dieter Dengler. Dengler learned to survive on his own at an early age. He was born in Germany in 1938. He grew up in post-war Germany. His father had been killed during the war. He struggled to survive in a country destroyed by war. He lived on the streets. He had to scavenge metal and dig through trash to find food to survive. Dengler managed to emigrate to the United States and volunteered for the U.S. Air Force. But Dengler was only given duties as a mechanic and on KP. He wanted to learn to fly. So he completed his college degree and joined the Navy. He was stationed aboard the USS Ranger flying interdiction missions over Vietnam when on February 1st, 1966, Dengler was piloting an A-1 Skyraider. This is a large attack aircraft when he was shot down over Laos. He was captured and brutally tortured, but he refused to sign documents condemning U.S. actions in the conflict. He was kept in a jungle prison camp where the jungle was the prison. He and the other prisoners put up with horrific conditions, including a near starvation diet of just a little bit of rice every day. After fearing that the guards would march them out into the jungle and shoot them, Dengler and the other prisoners devised an escape plan. They knew no one was coming to rescue them. They knew there was no help but what they did themselves, so they took dramatic action. On June 29, 1966, Dengler and the 6 other prisoners slipped out of their shackles and grabbed the guards' weapons. The prisoners tried to signal Air Force C-130s that were circling, but soon became separated in the dense jungle. Dengler was soon alone, lost in the jungle, nearly starving. After 23 days alone in the jungle, Dengler caught the attention of a U.S. Air Force pilot by using one of the parachutes that had been attached to a flare. Eventually, a helicopter flew in to pick up Dengler. After months of torture and confinement and 3 weeks on the run without any food in the jungle, he became only the second U.S. airman to escape capture in Vietnam. Although it has some historical inaccuracies, there is a terrific movie directed by Werner Herzog, Rescue Dawn, that stars Christian Bale as Dieter Dengler. I suggest you check it out. Well, those are some great examples from history of people who have rescued themselves, overcome unbelievable odds, and serve as an inspiration to me anyway, of how I can help myself and how I can take action to improve things. Do you have any examples from history that you like that are similar to this, or where people rescued themselves and took dramatic actions to save themselves? Or maybe you want to share a story from your own life where you did something like this. If so, leave it in the comments, share it with the rest of us. I really don't know why two of my examples involve boats, but they did. Hey, do me a favor. If you like this kind of content, hit that like and subscribe button. Feed that hungry algorithm monster. Help this channel grow. Share with your friends. Hey, if you're facing a major challenge or setback in your life, hang in there. Come up with a plan and take action. That alone will make you feel better. And remember, you can do it. We're all in this together. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time on The Desperate Historian.